that's a member of the RAA. Um, we have 4 different business facets. One is the airline side, and our largest single customer is FedEx. We're a FedEx feeder carrier. We operate 18 different points in the U.S. As bases, ranging from down in Tulsa, Oklahoma, down in Texas, all the way to Fairbanks, Alaska. We fly ATR freighter aircraft and Cessna Caravans, Cessna 208s for FedEx. We've been doing that for 31 years for them, and so they're really kind of the bread and butter of our airline. But the second piece of our flying operation is we are the service provider for the product called Ohana by Hawaiian with Hawaiian Airlines Inter-Island out of Honolulu. We've been doing that for over 4 years. And it's been growing this year. I want to talk just a little bit about that. We went from 3 to 4 ATR 42-500 passenger airplanes this year. We're serving obviously the smaller cities out there, the Molokai and Lanais, and we are the only cabin class airplane flying into West Maui, JHM, which is a 3,000-foot strip, and it's quite an interesting thing for us to do. And but the other product that we've added is we have started cargo service with large door ATR 72 aircraft, inter-island cargo service, again under the Ohana by Hawaiian brand, and it's a very exciting project. In fact, A4A has a blurb today that come out. It's featuring us. You can see our airplanes on there and how happy they are and what we're all in between the islands. So that was kind of a nice thing to see come out today. And we have 2 airplanes committed to that service, and our goal is to get that to 4. The 3rd airplane is in our heavy maintenance facility in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Empire Aerospace, that's actually the second piece of our business. And Empire Aerospace is, we are the conversion center, North American conversion center for the IPR large door conversion for ATRs. So we're really pleased with that. The first product we're going to be doing with the large door does happen to be one of the airplanes going to Hawaiian. So that airplane we expect to be done and in service by the end of first quarter of next year. And we're looking for what the 4th airplane will be that we can either put through conversion or buy one of the few that are already converted. So Hawaiian has become a much bigger piece of our business, and we're extremely pleased with the relationship. And it's a very, it's small but pretty complicated little operation over there. We've got about almost 70 employees over there now, pilots, flight attendants, mechanics, and support people. And we expect that to grow to about 100 when it's all said and done here in the next few months. On the FedEx side, there's a lot of exciting things going on with FedEx. We're operating 18 ATR 42s and 72s, small door cargo airplanes for them, and we're operating 38 Cessna Caravans in the system. So it's a pretty extensive fleet, and there's some really exciting stuff going on with FedEx. You may be aware that a few months ago, FedEx announced that they were going to be the lead customer in purchasing 100 Cessna 408s, which is Cessna's new approximately 6,000-pound payload, twin-engine aircraft, and we're excited about that. That airplane will be used as a partial replacement for Cessna Caravans, but it's also going to be used, all the Caravans are not going away, is my understanding, so we'll be doing a mix of Cessna 408s and Caravans. The deliveries on those airplanes will start in mid-summer 2020, and so if you didn't think that was enough, about the same time they announced that they have an order in with ATR for 60 or 50 ATR 72 large cargo door factory freighters, which is very, very exciting. ATR 72 600s. So Those will start delivering about the same time. So we've got a very busy year ahead of, or a couple years ahead of us getting ready for these airplanes. And obviously, we're not going to be the recipient of all those airplanes. FedEx has a network in the United States and in Europe and in Canada where they've got feeder carriers. There'll be 2 of us in the US that are getting the ATR 72s, and then some of them will go probably into Europe and other markets. And there's 7 of us that are operating Cessna Caravans in the domestic US that will be getting some portion of the Cessna 408s. So, but we'll definitely get our fair share of them, and like I say, we're extremely excited about it. The MRO, Empire Aerospace, we are located in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho at the headquarters. We've got a hangar facility there. We specialize in large turboprops, primarily ATRs and Q400s, Dash 8, those products. And we are focused on continuing to grow that business. We don't expect it to double in size or anything, but our goal is to continue to do what we're doing and put lines of good, steady work through there. And we're very excited about what the possibilities are for that facility. And being the provider for the IPR large door, that's going to provide a line of work for us right there. So another facet of our business is, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but it is tied to kind of what the future is. We have a company called Empire Unmanned. We've operated it for 4 years. We were one of the very early ones to start using small UASs out on a commercial basis, and that business is evolving and growing, and it gives us the ability to really keep an eye on what the technology is and who's taking the lead and what's going on in the UAS world. Not only the small, but we're looking at what it's going to take and where we will fit into beyond line of sight. And quite frankly, at some point in the future, we honestly believe that we will be carrying freight somewhere in the system with UASs. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time and when and how and what that looks like. So it's kind of us. We're excited. We struggle with the same thing everybody else is, as pilots and mechanics. I listen to the great programs that Dion's got and everybody else is developing, and we're working on some of those similar things, not on the same scale, but we're able ourselves, and Mountain Air Cargo, who's the other ATR operator here in the US for FedEx, worked with FedEx and created a program called the Purple Runway Program. And that program is implemented, and what it does is it provides a career opportunity for young people to enter into our system and fly for us for a few years, and the Caravans, the ATRs work their way up through the system. And while they're there, meet the requirements that FedEx has for hiring their mainline pilots, the testing, the variety of different things they have to do, and even the educational component if they don't have a 4-year degree. And at some point then, when they meet those requirements, it's not guaranteed they'll go to FedEx, but if they've met the requirements, they will move on to the trunk. So they can start with us, 23 years old, and in 6 years, 5-6 years, they could be in the right seat of an Airbus, and they could retire out at one of the highest paying airline jobs in the world right now. So very exciting program for us. We're getting some traction with it. It's not going to be a cure-all or an end-all to the pilot problem for us, but it's a big step. And the other thing is there's been a regulatory change finally. We have been petitioning for years, we collectively, the 135 side of the business, for relief from the FAA to be able to log first officer or co-pilot time in the right seat of a 135 airplane that normally only requires 1 crew member. That regulation was finally changed a couple of months ago, and we now have the ability to develop a right seat program. We could put a first officer in a Caravan if we wanted to, and they could build time that would count toward the time they could come into the right seat of the Caravan. If, let's say they come in at 800 hours, they could spend 400 hours flying in there. They'd qualify them for the left seat. They could then fly the left seat until they got to 1,500 hours plus, and they move over to the right seat of the ATR, the left seat of the ATR, and then on to FedEx. So that's very exciting. we for sure will use that program with the Cessna 408s. And we have the ability to do it with the Caravans, and we're on the cusp of a decision whether we're going to do that or not. So we've been looking for something like that. We think that the right seat of our 135 airplanes have been wasted. They are an excellent training tool and a way for pilots to get quality time to qualify as an ATP, whether they stay with us or they go to Dion or they do whatever. So we're excited to see that, and it's one of the things that the smaller side of our business can provide to the industry to help develop a stream of professional pilots in the future. I rambled on. I told you you'd get tired of me.
Could you describe, is it a flow-through program with FedEx, or is it just a more informal thing?
It's not a full flow-through. They still have to go through the interview processes.
Yeah.
And they still have to take the psychological testing. They still got to go. There's certain, FedEx, like any other big carrier, has several steps that they make, or they have their potential new hire pilots go through, and our pilots will have to go through that same thing, but they can do it over a period of time while they're working for us. They don't just go in and do it in a month, 6 weeks.
But they have do you think they have a bit of an advantage?
They have a huge advantage. And the thing that FedEx likes about it is they already understand FedEx. I mean, why wouldn't you want to hire good pilots that meet all your qualifications and totally understand what the system's like, what's it fly at night, what's it like to be wearing carrying the FedEx product. So I can't call it a true flow through, but it's very, very close to.
The other thing, I kind of got lost in the numbers on your fleet. Could you go over that, how many aircraft you have again and what they are?
I have 18 ATR 42s and 72s I'm operating for FedEx. I have 38 Cessna Caravans I'm operating for FedEx. And currently for Hawaiian, I'm operating 4 ATR 42 500 passenger aircraft and 2 ATR 72 large cargo door freight aircraft.
For which airline is that?
Hawaiian. It's the product's called Ohana by Hawaiian. So, and if anybody also wants to know more about the Purple Runway, there's some great resources. You can go to Empire Airlines webpage and go to the deployment section, or you can Google FedEx Purple Runway, and there's a whole explanation of how the program works.
And then I'll stop. I'll ask this one. Do you have the same growing pains or pains that other people have with finding pilots? Is that
Yes.
a challenge?
Yeah.
You're not immune to that.
No, I'm not. In fact, the business environment for airlines is not, I've never seen it this good. Everybody keeps saying that. We continue to pass up opportunities to grow and fly for other customers because my first concern is making sure I have enough pilots and mechanics to take care of my 2 customers, which is Hawaiian and FedEx. And so for me, we're a very entrepreneurial company, we're kind of a contract company, and for me to tell people I can't talk to them about doing business with them on good business opportunities is pretty serious. So that really is inhibiting our ability to grow.
How long have you all been around?
Pardon?
When were you all founded?
1977, Clearwater, Idaho, little mountain strip.
In midsummer 2020, when all the new the 408s and the BTR come online, I know it's probably hard to say, but is it the intent that it will replace it or on both?
On the 408s?
Yeah, well, on both. Or is it
The answer to that's probably no.
No.
It will be, I think FedEx will use some of the additional lift as growth, and I'm sorry I got out of here.
That's all right.
For growth, and some of it will be replacement. We've got a lot, on the case of the 408, we've got a lot of routes out there that we're flying 2 Caravans on the route, so it's pretty logical. You put a 408 on it and you only need 1 pilot, and you don't need 2 pilots, and that makes sense. But FedEx intends to keep some of the I don't know how many, but they're certainly gonna keep their caravans around for quite a while. Some of them may become surplus, I'm not sure. In the case of the ATRs, we do have some aging airplanes. We've got probably our ATR 42s, which are our oldest, longest in the tooth airplanes, will get replaced with the new 72s. But the decision hasn't been made to how many of the other 72s may get replaced, and maybe use them for growth and expansion. And, you know, bringing the new airplanes in will just add to it. So I think it'll be a combination, Kelly, so.
And then on the Hawaiian operation, Ohana, it sounds great, like it's really growing and you can do more with passenger service and cargo service. Is there the intent to continue to grow that operation?
Well, I think there probably may be over time more capacity to grow, but there's a limited number of routes we'll do over there because any of the flying, I mean, Hawaiian's got their 717 fleet, and it's a very robust inter-island fleet, and any of the routes that they currently fly out of Honolulu, out to Maui, Kona, Hilo, any of those by scope clause belong to the Hawaiian pilots for flying. So we're going to be in those secondary markets, which is really a good fit for us with the ATR. The ATR is a perfect airplane for that. And so I think we'll be kind of limited on how much we can grow there. The freighter air fleet, I know, will grow by 2 more than it is right now. And whether it grows beyond that or not, I'm not sure right now. There's no restrictions on us as far as that goes with the scope clause with their pilots.
You fly primarily cargo, correct?
Primarily, except the 4 ATR 42 500s in Hawaii are passenger.
Oh.
So we're a dual certificate. We operate a 121 domestic, we operate a 121 supplemental, and we operate a 135 non-scheduled segment. So we have 3 different authorities on our op specs. Okay. Any other questions?
One quick one. With the growth of same-day shipping and all the rest, I'm just curious, you know, how you had to adjust your operations, if at all.
Well, FedEx does that for us. We do what they say. We'll go fly we'll put an airplane into a market where they want it. And so those are their decisions. But there's absolutely no doubt that market is growing leaps and bounds. And I think that's another reason to go with your question on why we won't be retiring all these airplanes. Because as that market grows, even though they're adding new airplanes, you know, more lift to them and stuff, that there's a growth factor in that segment. I mean, FedEx right now is forecasting the largest peak season they've ever had in history. And it's starting earlier this year. They say they want all of our airplanes out of maintenance and ready to fly before the 1st of November, and we're going to be flying until the end of the year. And that alone is about 2 weeks longer than most peak seasons. So the e-commerce business will continue to drive this. We'll continue to benefit from it as long as we can find enough flight crews and mechanics to properly fly and maintain the airplanes. All right.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, guys.